Hey, what's up guys, I'm Praetorian and welcome to Crusader Kings III, as we're going to be starting a new series today with the Tours and Tournaments expansion. So this DLC releases on May 11th, which is this Thursday, and is $29.99. The primary change of the expansion and the 1.9 patch is a change to the travel and activity system. And I've got to say, I've been playing over the weekends, and ever since CK2's release, if you look at all the DLCs and expansions CK2 got, as well as the few that we've gotten for CK3, this is probably the most significant revolutionary change to the CK series that we've seen yet. I'm not making the argument that it's the best change, that's very much debatable, just that it's the most significant, like it changes up the gameplay loop the most. But yeah, let's just go ahead and hop into a new game. This is going to be a roleplay series. I'll talk about that a bit more once we get into it. So considering that a major focus of this patch and expansion is on knights and tournaments, I felt like it made a lot of sense to play within the Kingdom of France. Part of the reason for that is some of their cultural traditions, which you can see here. However, we will not be starting as the King of France. I wanted to do a campaign where we have to rise to royal power, so similar to a few of the other series that we've done, like the one in Byzantine where we started as a count. In this one, we're going to be starting as a duke, and there's a lot of choices for dukes within France. Obviously, you don't want to play as William, since that'd be an English campaign, and we've already done that one. Yeah, you got the Duke of Aquitaine here. You do the Duke of Burgundy, but we'll be playing as the Duke of Toulouse. So some of you have been on the channel for a while may recall that in CK2, we did a series, a roleplay series, here in the south of France, and we played as the Toulouse Dynasty. This family here, the Toulouse family, is related to them. We'll take a look at exactly how they're related once we jump into the game. This is Duke Guilhem V. We would know him as William in English. And as for the fifth, I'm not entirely sure that that's right, because I don't think there ever was a William V of Toulouse. I believe it was William IV that ruled at this time. So I'm not entirely sure where Paradox got the 5 from. But it does seem like they got the regnal numbers wrong, or perhaps something in the history files resulted in it being incorrect. But I'm pretty sure this is Guilhem or William IV of Toulouse. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it, though I will show you guys the game rules before we start. So basically, almost everything is on default for the most part. There's a few changes, like to matrilineal marriages to make those a little bit more accurate. But for the most part, these are default settings. So I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a historical background for this character before we begin. So he was, again, Guilhem IV, or William IV of Toulouse. He never had any sons, he just had daughters, and he would die in the Holy Land. Not on crusade, actually before the crusades began. He was instead doing a pilgrimage to the Holy Land. And he left his brother, his younger brother, Raymond, in charge. Raymond is underneath us here. He has these two counties. He left him in charge, and it was later argued, of course, that he was always meant to inherit after his brother died. The French do not have a tradition of female inheritance, generally. So his daughters were not going to inherit, and since he didn't have a son, it was expected that his brother Raymond would succeed to his titles when he died, which is what happened. And he's the more famous of these brothers, and I decided not to play as him because of that. I wanted to play as the brother that most people don't really know in history. Now Raymond, for his part, he's known for his role in the Crusades, particularly the First Crusade. So if you want to read up on him, look up the First Crusade, or the Crusader State of Tripoli. So yeah, this is the more famous of the brothers. And his dynasty, his branch of the dynasty, I should say, also has a bit of fame too, even if the actual character here isn't well known. So his daughter would not accept her uncle taking over. She would marry into the dynasty here ruling the Duchy of Aquitaine. This is Guilhem VIII, and I'm surprised he doesn't have his son yet. I would expect that he would be alive already. I'm not entirely sure when he was born. But his son, who would become Guilhem or William IX, would marry our character's daughter. William IX would claim a right to the inheritance of the County of Toulouse through his wife, and the dynasty would continue to make that claim. So when Eleanor of Aquitaine, pretty famous character who would marry Henry II of England, so she claimed a right to Toulouse, and Henry II would, through his wife, also make that claim and would conquer the territory, or I should say, he made several attempts to conquer it before he finally succeeded in getting control of Toulouse. But yeah, a lot of wars down here in southern France during Henry II's reign due to that claim. So honestly, that's really the only mark on history that William IV made. Him himself, he didn't really do much, but his daughter and then her marriage did have some effects that, echoed through time. So we'll have to see if we can accomplish more with this character than he did historically. Now, before we take a look at our starting situation here, I did want to explain what I meant by roleplay for those of you who are not familiar with my CK3 or CK2 roleplay series. Basically, the traits, the personality traits, the 3, sometimes 4 personality traits of the character are going to dictate the decisions we make, whether it comes to event options or just different things we do, whether we go to war or not, will all be determined by these character traits. And I did want to clarify a few things here in the first episode, since the roleplay series often do cause a lot of disagreements in the comments. By all means, feel free to post your disagreements in the comments. If you feel like I didn't act in a way that fit with our character traits, then yeah, feel free to voice your opinion, as long as you do so in a respectful manner. However, I think there are some misunderstandings with how I'm doing this, and I did want to clarify those before we begin here. So, for example, these traits here, the commander traits, those do not impact our decision-making, guys. So, like, I'll have a defensive commander trait, and then people will criticize that I'm actually going on offensive and attacking and saying, oh, you should sit on defense and you should never attack because you got a defensive commander trait. The commander traits are not traits that we use for our decision-making, guys. I'm not going to just sit on defense because we got a defensive guy. So those do not impact the roleplay, just the personality traits. That's it. Now, there are sometimes modifiers, certain traits that obviously would play a role in our roleplay decisions. But for the most part, it's the personality traits that we're making use of. Also, every once in a while, I might throw in a little storyline for us to kind of spice things up. I've had a few times where people got irritated that I did that. I don't know why. People get so irritated by such little things, take things so seriously. But I'm bringing this all up because the roleplay series, I've debated not doing them anymore, simply because there's so much, so much arguing in the comments and just people getting irritated too much and making too big of a deal of things. And I had a couple times where I added in a little storyline, like a character falling in love with somebody, and some people got really irritated about that because they said, oh, it didn't fit with the character, even though they had nothing to do with the traits. They just didn't like me adding things in. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to make that clear here. It's not going to be often, but every once in a while I might just kind of add in a little storyline. And again, it's only the personality traits. So I just want to make those two clear, since there has been some misunderstandings in the past about that. But yeah, let's go and look at our character traits that are going to dictate how we're playing as Guilhem V. We'll call him the Fifth. That's what the game calls him. So he's diligent. So he does not shy away from hard work. He's zealous. Religious conviction burns bright at the center. And brave. Challenges or danger, he fears nothing. Our education trait is the intrigue one, flamboyant trickster. So we didn't do great in our education, but at least we weren't the worst. So we will be going down the intrigue branch of our perk tree. And we'll actually go ahead and get that selected now. And we're going to do the skullduggery focus. That's agent acceptance and intrigue 3. I think that fits for us. And then for our first branch on the perks, we're going to be going with the schemer one. You can see we've already started the torture, which gives us that increased dread gain. We're going to go with the truth is relative and then start moving down these ones. Now, you may have noticed when we had our character screen open, our brother Raymond is our heir, while we are his heir. Now, he starts out already married here, while we do not. So if he has any children, then those would inherit his 2 counties. And so what we really need to do is remove him early on. Since we are an intrigue-focused character, I feel like it makes sense for us. And we start out with the duchy title. So we have all these vassals underneath us. However, you may have noticed we only hold one county, the county of Toulouse. So our brother, while he is technically a lower rank, he has 2 counties that he owns. And there's actually quite a few of our vassals that have 2 counties. So I think he just has the 1. But this guy's got the 2, and then this guy also has 2 county titles. So we're actually weaker than many of our vassals. We might have like similar numbers of troops. Yeah, just simply because we're getting, all the troops from our vassals. But overall, we're very much exposed to any factions and rebellions. And so we need to get more counties, essentially. And I think the best way to do that is to get rid of our brother. And we also don't want him to be taking over for us. We don't want to play as him. We want to play as Guilhem. So we're going to start out with a murder scheme against him. 18% chance of success, 33% chance of secrecy. So as I mentioned earlier in the video, the big changes brought with this expansion is the travel system and the new activities. So now whenever your character goes anywhere, they actually have to travel on the map. It's really cool. I like it a lot. You get to plan out your routes, and you'll see plenty of that as we play here. And then you have these activities. Now, some of these were already in the game, feast, hunts, pilgrimage. These were already in the game, but now they're quite a bit different because these will actually be held somewhere on the map. And anybody who attends them has to go to that location. And some provinces are better for different things. Some provinces are better for your feast, highly based off the buildings that are in there. But then some places are better for hunts. So in the forest, you're generally going to have a better chance of getting certain types of game. And then you got the grand activities, which the tour is where you travel around your realm. There's several different reasons you might do so. Like maybe trying to get taxes, maybe to increase your majesty, or to intimidate your vassals. Grand tournaments. So that's, just like the tournaments of history, where you're going to have melee fights. You're going to have the jousting. But there's also a lot of other different events there, like games, board games. There's singing recitals that you can do. So a very interesting mechanic here. And then you got the grand weddings. So not all weddings will have these grand wedding mechanics. Most of them won't be because it's kind of expensive. But yeah, this is another thing I'm looking forward to showing you guys because the weddings are pretty cool. But overall, I'm really liking the system, and it's going to be great for the roleplay, because one of the issues we've had in past roleplay series is that not all characters does it make sense for us to be at war all the time. But when you're at peace, there's really not a lot to do. It's basically just putting the game on the fastest speed and then reacting to the different random events you might have happen. So maybe you go 10 years of not really doing anything. But now, with the new activity system, I find that peacetime is a lot more interesting than what it used to be, and this will really help out for our roleplay. Also, everything you do here is like really expensive. You can spend as much money as you want on these, which improves the events. And I found that money has become very short now. I'm always having money issues because of the activity system. Before, where you're able to like easily build up your men-at-arms and construct all the buildings in your provinces, that's no longer the case, because if you're using this activity system, then you're spending vast sums of wealth on it. Yeah, let's go and get a marriage set up. Now, generally for many CK3 players, the primary concern for marriages is the inheritable traits. That's what most people generally care about. They set it up so they get the best possible traits to breed that into their dynasty. And while we'll certainly be making use of that mechanic, I do feel that if you're doing a roleplay series, that can't be your primary concern unless there's just no other options. Because generally in history, what was most important is the alliance that they got and combining two households. So I feel like alliances and succession should be our primary concerns over traits. But again, we'll still try and get good traits because it's just a fun mechanic. However, another rule is that I generally do not allow my characters to marry lowborn characters, because it was pretty rare in history. It's very scandalous when you did so. And, if we fall in love with a character who's lowborn due to some events that pop up, then maybe in that case it makes sense. But outside of a for love situation, I don't really think your character should be doing lowborn marriages. So we won't. with a few exceptions. All right, so these are the options we have available. Let's go ahead and sort this by alliance power. So we could marry into the Normandy family, since of course they're very likely to gain control of the throne of England. William usually wins that war. Not always, but generally. So getting an alliance with him would be helpful. His daughter is pretty young, and that's the eldest daughter, so we'd have to wait a while. And we might not want to do so. There is an alliance with Norway. They're kind of far away, and also the Scandinavian countries are generally not good for any kind of succession purposes, since they have the elective monarchies, and so you often don't succeed to anything. So I don't think that would be a good choice. There's an alliance here with the Duchy of Bohemia, also pretty far away, and there's a lot of children that had to be removed if you hope to inherit anything. I'm not really seeing any good choices when looking at the alliance options, and a big part of that, of course, is because this is the start of the game here. And so there's just not as many options. He has a daughter, no other children, and she's 32, so she could still end up having some additional children. But yeah, if he didn't have any sons, then she would be the one to inherit all his titles. So not a bad choice, but again, you gotta wait a long time. But yeah, it would be a powerful potential marriage here. Look at other options within France, where we would want to have an alliance. So she's a little bit older, so that would be a good alliance there with Burgundy. They're not that far away. And Jus doesn't have any children. King of France is still a minor currently. He's 14 years old. You have a new regency system, which is really interesting. We'll take a look at that probably soon, and whenever we travel. As soon as you travel outside the realm, you get to see it. So yeah, there are some potential alliances within France that could be useful to have, because we're going to want to expand up this way. Now, this title here will most likely be given to us, or the vassal will be given to us, since it's rightfully ours. So generally the king will give you that one. So we'll probably want to expand against this guy. I see Robert IV being an enemy of ours. So yeah, we'll probably go after his county here for our first route of expansion, which there's no reason why our current character wouldn't want to expand his territory. I really feel like this betrothal makes the most sense. I mean, I know it's a long time to wait without an heir, but our character is pretty young, only 19 years old. We're waiting about 8 or 9 years, and it just makes the most sense. He's our neighbor. She, as of right now, is set to inherit all this territory. Now, I do assume they'll have more children. If they have any daughters, then those daughters would inherit some of this. If they had a son, of course, then she'd be taken completely out of the succession. But we're a spy character. We're espionage-minded characters, so we can always fix those type of problems with the succession. So yeah, I think it makes the most sense to do a betrothal here, guys. So that's what we're going to do. Again, we're going to have to wait a while. That's okay, and he would have to accept it as well. Now, he will not accept a regular wedding. If you do the grand weddings, it makes it far more likely that they will accept, but we're still short, and we wouldn't be able to pay for a grand wedding. Now, it says average cost is 400. We could spend a lot less than that. Just wouldn't be as prestigious. But yeah, that clearly is not going to work. He will not approve it. So if he's not going to approve it, one thing we could go ahead and do is trying to increase relations with him. Go ahead and try and sway him. And that might help. Yeah, I guess we'll try and do that. I was going to improve relations with a member of our council first, but yeah, we'll try with Aquitaine. We would be waiting a long time for this marriage anyways. All right, so let's take a look at our council, make sure that they're doing everything we need them to do. So we're going to switch over to domestic affairs. Might also want to just take a look and see who's all in each position. Because yeah, he's got a good intrigue, way better than this character. Yeah, he would be better as a marshal or a steward than our current one. So we're going to need to move these guys around a bit. Yeah, they always do a crappy job putting them in their initial positions. I suppose what we'll want to do is go ahead and make him the spy master, him the marshal, and him the steward. And then this guy can move to the chancellor, which is a less important position in my opinion. And yeah, you just don't, there's nothing good for him to do. Now, of course, you don't have to have him in any position. He has the 2 counties, though, so he's one of the more powerful vassals, so it would be good to probably keep him appeased. So that's what we'll do. So we'll just move him to the chancellorship. So let's go ahead and find him on here. So this is him. We're going to swap these 2 out. And then this guy's moving over to the spy position, spy master position. So swap these guys out. And both of these guys are okay in their positions, but obviously they'd do better if we switch them. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do. So let's go ahead and move this character over into the stewardship, our brother. So our brother, excuse me, I said stewardship, he'll be our marshal. So our brother, who's brave, zealous, and lazy, so has many of the same traits that we do. He doesn't have the diligent, he's lazy instead, so the opposite in that sense. Now remember, many of these traits are randomized when you start the game, so he could have had something different there. Though I think he might always be set to be brave and zealous, but this one here I think is randomized. Not sure about this character. They might all be randomized. Alright, so this is our situation here. We're going to go ahead and continue to collect taxes initially. We'll work on developments a little bit later. We need some money here. And then over here we'll do probably the train commanders, trying to improve our knights. I assume our starting knights are not great. And then with this character, we want him to see if he can find some secrets here so we can get an agent to operate against our brother. That's going to be done in 12 months, which we have, let's see here, 8 years before this would be completed. Now we can already convince the spy master to join for a bribe, so let's do that. That should increase it by a lot. We might not even need to find any agents here. So yeah, we'll spend our money for that. I think that's a good use because, you know, if we succeed here, we'll get 2 counties. So the last thing we need to look at is our knight situation, as well as our men-at-arms. So we start with the 3 men-at-arms right now: light footman, bowman, and the light horseman. You'll notice it says unstationed here. So this is a new mechanic. If you play a lot of CK3, then you'll know that as you construct a lot of buildings, that the military type buildings that give bonuses to men-at-arms, you can really stack up the modifiers to the point where the men-at-arms become ridiculously powerful. And so in order to deal with that, they have changed it so that a province only gives its bonuses to 1 men-at-arms unit, the one that you have stationed there. So if you want to get bonuses for these guys, you have to pick a location for them to be stationed in. So if we go to war, we'll want to station somebody here in Toulouse. We won't do that yet though, because we might be changing up the buildings that are there and which unit we might want to have stationed there. So these are our knights. Just want to take a look at what we got. So our brother is our best knight with his 15 prowess. Our half-brother, I did forget to take a look at the rest of our dynasty. We'll go ahead and do that here in a minute. Our half-brother has a prowess of 9. We got a guest here who would make a fantastic knight. I assume he's going to be expensive. No, he's not. He's only 30 gold. I don't remember how much we spent on that one agent. Maybe we'll go in the negative. It's fine. Let's get another knight here, guys, since we do not have a good collection of knights currently. Yeah, pretty bad overall. Our worst one is prowess 2. It's an old man here, 66 years old. So another mechanic is the acclaimed knights, the accolades. And we'll have to take a look at that a little bit later because we don't have any options here just yet. All right, so we recruited that guest to our court, so we'll have a better knight there. So I did want to show one more kind of interesting situation. That's with our mother here. So she is currently on her 3rd husband. And the first husband was Hugh V the Pious of Lucia. So that's that dynasty we played back in CK2. And so I really like the connection, because we're playing in southern France again, the connection between that dynasty that we once played as. And so they together had 3 children. So one of their sons, Count Hugh VI the Devil, is ruling in this county here. Their other son, Court Jourdain, is ruling here, so he's our vassal, our half-brother. And then they also have a daughter, so that's our half-sister. And it looks like she is up there. Yeah. Her husband's a spy master. So that was her first husband. Her second husband was our father, Hans. And of course, they had these 4 children together. So we have our sister here. She's currently married to this man. Ourselves, the oldest of the sons. Raymond, our younger brother, who we've already seen. And then this is another brother here who we might want to get into our court. We'll see how he does on his education. But currently he's under Raymond. So yeah, we have another younger brother who could be useful. Might want to give him some territory or something. That'd be an option. And then her current spouse, because our father died, obviously, and her current spouse is actually Duke Raymond the Old of Barcelona. So she's currently the Duchess here, just south of us. And they've had a bunch of kids together. I don't think all of these are hers. Yeah, it starts right here. So they've had these 4 children. So that's our half-siblings that we have in Barcelona. So yeah, interesting situation I wanted to show and discuss. So we need a court physician. We're probably not going to have any money for that. We'll see what's left after those 2 decisions that we just took. See if there's anything else. Yeah, we know we don't have enough knights. Trying to get that solved. And we can create an accolade that we saw that we don't have any knights that have any traits to be able to do that. All right, so finally unpausing the game. Good God. It took a while. We have that knight. He did accept it, and now we have a 95% chance of success here. So what we need to do, we no longer need to look for secrets. So let's just have him support the schemes. We already at 99%. That should speed it up, by a month. So we can try and get this done and get our brother assassinated before he knocks his wife up. Because then that's another person we have to assassinate. So the existence of our plot was discovered. So that's really unfortunate. Yeah, that's about as bad as they get. 95% chance of secrecy, and it was discovered. So that's a real shame. I'm going to get invited to our first event. We'll take a look at that in a minute. Let's first solve this problem here. It's not so low that we can't make this happen, and a big part of that's because we have the Spy Master. But yeah, it's not great now. Yeah, it's not great at all. So that's a real bummer. Yeah, just 95% chance of secrecy, and it still was discovered. Well, currently nobody's willing to accept. So yeah, I can't get any other agents. It's already been discovered, so no risk of taking him off. Might as well just go ahead and look for some secrets here. Yeah, that's a real bummer, guys. A real shame, because now it's going to give him lots of time to have children. Yeah, just really bad luck there, unfortunately. But yeah, we got our first event invitation, so you'll get the invitations from other characters who are throwing feast or having hunts. And this one here is the Duke of Champagne. So it's going to be located in this province here, which is important since you have to travel that location. And so it's going to take a certain amount of time. Our travel time is 3 months to get up there. But yeah, we'll go and participate in this. Why not? So we're going to go to his feast. We don't have a caravan master, so we'll want to go ahead and get one appointed. We need to appoint a lot of people. We don't have a court physician either. We'll probably also want to get a court tutor once we have some children. I suppose we got to be married in order to have some children, though. So yeah, we eventually want to get the court tutor. But yeah, let's go ahead and get the caravan master first. Another thing I really like about, I think it was in this patch, it wasn't in the game last time I played, is that now when you hover over aptitude, it shows you why they have that aptitude. I was always curious, how these were determined, because sometimes it just didn't seem to make any sense why a character was poor when they should have been better at it. But now it shows you exactly what it's considering when it determines, what their aptitude's going to be. So this character would actually be the best as caravan master. Now, another thing to consider besides just aptitude is the speed and safety bonuses, because these don't always fit with the aptitude. You look at these 2 terrible aptitude characters. This one's going to give you a really nice safety and speed bonus. Not too bad for somebody who's terrible. While this one here is actually going to take away from your safety and your speed. So that's another thing to consider. Clearly, she's the best choice here. So we're going to hire her. She's got the 13 on the speed and the 10 on the safety. And so, of course, we do need to pay her. You'll pay her every time you go on any kind of activity. Anytime you travel, you'll have to pay her. And so in this case, we're paying a cost of 4 here. Now we can add travel options. Generally increases the speed and safety, particularly through certain areas. But yeah, we don't really have the money to afford that right now. So what we might want to do is just kind of take a look and see if there's any way we can avoid some of the more unsafe locations. So going through hills and forests are generally less safe. Since we're traveling all the way up here, there's no way to avoid hills and forests. Another thing, of course, to consider is the speed. You got to arrive before the activity starts, which starts on the 15th of February. We're currently going to arrive on the 2nd of February. Because what I'm thinking about doing is moving it through here, just because it's not quite as risky, but you're also going through 3 provinces rather than just 2. So something to consider. Yeah, and then we got to go through this area here. So maybe it'd be wiser to move. Yeah, let's try moving this way to avoid that hill, because no matter what, you're going through some dangerous territory down here. So this would probably be the better place to customize the route. So we need to customize our route there, because you can customize both the route there and the way back. And so what we want to do is go ahead and add in this location, and you can see that now we'll go around. But the route back also needs to have that done. So now we're going to go through this area instead, which is not quite as bad. And we still have time if we want to try and move through this one instead of these two, because this is 231% locations. Well, here's only 131%, but 223%, so I don't know what's actually worse there. Yeah, probably just better to go through those hills then. Alright, so we won't make any other adjustments. And let's go ahead and join his feast. So we're starting out on our journey, and you'll see us actually moving along that route on the map. And because we're leaving our realm, we now have our brother, of all people, who's currently serving as our regent. So again, anytime you leave your realm, you'll have a regent, and the regents can be a good thing. You know, for instance, in this case, our brother has a loyalty as selfless. So he's going to try to fulfill the mandate set for them dutifully and give up their power willingly when asked. But they can also be self-interested, or what is more common, situational. And so that's one thing to consider. You can appoint who your regent's going to be, though it does irritate everybody who was above that person that should have been the regent before them, because you can see that the rankings for the regency succession, like who would be regent after our brother here, which would be our half-brother, would be next. And then you can set a mandate for your regent to try to fulfill while you're gone. So promote your authority, swell the armies, or what we're going to do, fill the coffers. We need money right now. And yeah, he'll increase his power just being a regent. Sometimes they do things that are good for you. Sometimes they do things that are not good for you. So we got our first event here, travel, weird whispers. So I've noticed that Josiah avoids me more than usual. He always sits at the opposite end of the table whenever we're invited to a feast, and consistently refuses my company while camping. We may not have the best of relationships, but that attitude is starting to tire me, especially when I overhear him defaming me. Guilhem is a worthless footdoodle, or fopdoodle, excuse me. Fopdoodle, that's an interesting insult. I'd be a way better duke than him. So this is an event you see quite often, so we won't read it the next time we see it. So our options here is we can say, you want to know how it is? I'll show you, in which case we'll attempt to duel him. 78% chance that we'll win the fight. He'll become wounded, and he'll get the mutiny humiliation, and then he'll leave our travel entourage. 22% chance that we would lose that duel. Instead, we can have our caravan master deal with it. We'll lose 15 opinion with Josiah. We could say, get out of my sight now. He'll leave the entourage, might become a rival with him, or just say, is that the wind I hear? Basically not deal with it and lose some prestige because of that. Let's go ahead and do, I'm tempted to duel him because we're brave. So maybe that would be the way we'd deal with it. Yeah, we wouldn't have the caravan master deal with it. Let's duel him. Why not? So we win the fight against him, and he's been wounded. There's a lot of travel events, by the way. I sometimes feel like they're a little too frequent, since you do travel quite often. But yeah, some of them pretty interesting. The only problem is that it does seem like there's a lot of the same ones that fire over and over again. That one we just had is pretty frequent. And another one I don't like, you guys might even see in this episode, I'll point it out when we see it. It's regarding a plant that you can find. The road has gotten incredibly hilly the past few hours, and everyone is beginning to weary. After a while longer, with no end of the hills in sight, one of my traveling companions, Edeltrudis, approaches me and says, "My lord, our mounts cannot carry on like this for much longer. The poor animals need a break, or I fear they'll collapse. We must stop to rest." She knows full well that this will delay our journey to Troyes. She had mentioned now, here in episode 1, that I am not great with the French language. My pronunciation is terrible. So if you notice I pronounce something incorrectly, which I'm sure you will, just correct me down in the comments and I will try my best. I have learned how to pronounce a lot of words through doing this channel, but overall I'm still pretty terrible at the French language overall. So I'll try my best, guys. So our options here are: she is right, it would be wise to rest. It'll be delayed by 10 days. I don't remember how much days we had. I think we had like exactly 10. And it will improve her opinion. Or you say, "I'll brook no delays, we must press onward," and I think that's what we should do. Because we're getting too close to that, and you never know, there might be other delays, and then we'll be late to the event, which means we won't be able to participate. Now, all these are reactive to the location you're in. So, when we're going through the hills, we'll have the hills background. Going through forest, we'll have the forest background, and the events will be based off of that terrain that you're in. So I press this on a bit further, keep on making it to Troyes according to plan. As we crest the larger hill yet, I think our struggles might finally come to an end when thud, thud, thud. I turn to see the source of the noise and gasp as all our mounts start collapsing on the ground. It seems that Altrudis was right. These poor beasts can only take so much strain. I should have listened when I had the chance. Alright, so I hadn't seen this event before. But we're only going to be delayed by 5 days if we go to the nearest town and purchase fresh mounts. So not the 10 days we would have been, but it'll cost us 15 gold. Or we can proceed on foot, in which case we're probably going to go significantly slower. Yeah, we won't make it there, essentially. And a bunch of people are going to hate us as well. So we'll just do this one. So danger, bitten by frost. And so this is because we're traveling here in December. Not a good time to travel, the winter. It's been snowing for the past few days, and the cold is unbearable. I look around and see that my entourage is struggling with it as well. So I decide to travel on foot alongside them. After we walk through the snowstorm for another hour, Aldetrudis pulls me aside while shaking. She yelps, "Please, my liege, I cannot feel my toe anymore." I order her to take off her boot and have a look at the toe. It's all dark blue already, and at this point, it might be too late to save it. I've never had this much issue on travel before. I don't know if she's just a terrible caravan master, or just the timing that we went. Yeah, this is going horribly. So we can say I read about treatment in a manuscript once. Delays a journey for 14 days. Wow. 59% chance that we successfully treat the frostbite. 40% chance that we fail. Because we're brave, we'll lose stress. We don't actually have any stress right now. Or we can say we must keep on moving. 50% chance that she gets mild frostbite, or 50% chance that she'll get severe frostbite, and then she'll hate us and potentially be a rival. We don't have the time. We don't have the time to delay. We're going to have to keep on moving. She did get the severe frostbite. Okay. So this is going just absolutely terrible. That's what I figured we'd get here. We'll take a look at that in a minute. We got another event here of travels to come. Well, this is a massive man here. A wise man. And a giant. Okay, so this is another event that we'll see quite often. We pass by a peculiar looking tent, slayed open with its yet more peculiar looking occupant inside. Come in, O mighty Duke. I can tell you have many miles to go, and I can offer you a reading of your future travels for a modest price. The strange man has piqued the interest of my entourage, but am I willing to pay for a reading? So you say, tell my future wise one, it's going to cost us 5 gold. 50% chance we're going to get a good omen. It's going to reduce our stress gain. 50% chance we get a bad one. Say we're not interested. We're going to gain stress, though, because we're zealous. Or we can seal the tent and have the witch burned, in which case we'll kill this guy, gain dread and piety, but we only gain 5 stress because we're zealous. Well, I feel like, as a zealous character, we probably would see this as witchcraft. And that's the reason why we can't say we're not interested, because we'd be interested in this man performing witchcraft. And it's our duty to take care of anything we run across like this. So yeah, I think our character would seal the tent and have the witch burned. And yeah, we get some nice bonuses from that as well. So we're slowly making our way there. We did forget to take a look at this here. Let me pause this again. Maybe I'll remember next time. The Metal Man. You guys see just how many events there are. It's like a lot of them. And whenever you're traveling. It seems, again, like a little bit too much. I'm going to skip some of this here. Get to the point. Get me out of this metal prison. My squire took offense at my manner, even going so far as to call me heartless and has abandoned me. Whatever the strange man did could have been enough to justify him being stuck forever in his armor. I could, of course, have someone help him, but is it truly worth it? Alright, so again, we are a diligent person, so if we feel like it's our duty to help him, then we would. We can say, consider the armor gone for a price. We'll get 15 gold and a weak hook on him. Offer him loyal squires for his fealty, and then we'll recruit him. He is not a good knight. Good commander, though. Yeah, Henry the Heartless is not too bad as a commander, but yeah, he wouldn't make a good knight, though. Or we can leave him to his fate. Yeah, I just don't know that we would leave him to his fate. I don't know if we'd do this one. We'll appoint him as our personal champion, and he's garbage. His prowess is terrible. So, I mean, he's clearly not a good knight, so I don't know that we would bring him on just because we ran into this guy. So I guess we'll do this one and get the weak hook on him. And get 15 gold, which is needed right now. So this is the what I expected, us being granted him as a vassal. So another count that has 2 counties and is thus more powerful than us. However, he is a minor, so at least we don't have to worry about him wanting a spot on our council. Currently, it's this character who has been replaced by him, so he's no longer one of our powerful vassals. Okay. So yeah, we don't have to keep him in place. It's unfortunate that it wasn't this guy that got replaced, because he's terrible. It's another event. Snowbound. It has been snowing for days now. The road ahead appears completely impassable. However, as I look ahead, I see a small group of people approaching us fast across the snowdrifts. Soon a man stands before me and speaks with a wide grin. You seem to be in quite a predicament, but fear not. For a fair price, we will help you return to your travels. So yeah, part of the reason why we're getting these negative events is because of the timing that we went against. Not a good time for us to be traveling here in the winter. So we can say helping others is its own reward. This is a diplomacy challenge, which we are sure to fail. But of course, we don't entirely base our decisions off of what we'll succeed at. So we can also say it is a fair price, or we will manage on our own. And our winter expertise will help us start moving once again if we have one. And we don't have a winter expertise, I don't think. So 12% chance that our entourage swiftly starts moving again. It's a 62% chance we'll be delayed by 14 days. 25% chance we'll be delayed by 7. So very good chance we're going to be delayed here. And yeah, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't accept help. We're not the character who's, against getting help from somebody. So I guess we'll pay the price to get some assistance here. So basically just giving that 15 gold we just got from the previous event. Now, one thing I did want to address before this first episode's over, again, it's just constant events. Now, this will be quicker, later, because these are events that you see a lot. Like this one you see all the time. A duel demanded, and so we won't have to read it. We won't read them the second or third time that we see him or whatever. But yeah, this is another one that fires a lot. An opposing man is standing on the road ahead of us. I am Ansel of Langris. I have bested dozens of men in combat, and honestly, all those fights were dull. So here I am on this road looking for someone better than me, someone I can learn from. If you can best me in combat, I will become a valuable and loyal servant. And so on this day, I demand to meet one of you in a fair fight. So we can say I have no interest in you or a fair fight. We would not do that because we're brave. But this does bring up something I was just going to talk about. And that's in regards to the stress system and the role play. So what I used to do in my earlier role plays is that if an event option resulted in stress, then we didn't take it because, you're going against one of your traits, which is why you get stress in the first place. However, that created a real issue. The fact that you essentially don't interact with the stress system at all, because you're essentially avoiding all options that might result in stress. In addition to that, it's not realistic. Characters often have to do things they don't want to do sometimes. And so instead, the way we do this is we have to have, if something goes against one of our traits, then we have to have another trait that would result in us doing that. So for example, let's say we have an event option that results in stress because we're brave, and then our character wouldn't do as a brave character. But let's say we also, have this zealous trait here, and that event option would make sense for a zealous character. Well, in that case, we can then take that event option if we want, because we have another trait that justifies doing so, and that way you still can get stress and still interact with that stress system, because, obviously it's not fun if you're just avoiding all the stress in the game. And, characters in real life, we have to do things we don't want to do sometimes. A character can't just never do anything they don't want to. So I did want to address that. So this one here would result in us getting stressed because we're brave. You could say that you might be less valuable after I win. This will be a prowess challenge, which we have a 43% chance of succeeding in. He has an 11 prowess, so a little bit above our own. Or we could instead have this one of our knights. Yeah, this is one of our knights here. Fight him. And this is our really terrible knight. So he's not likely to succeed. It looks like 18% chance that he would succeed. And if we do win this fight, then we recruit him. He is a disloyal character, though. Probably not the best person to want in your entourage here. But yeah, I feel like we'd probably just fight him. Again, being brave. And there's no reason why we wouldn't. So yeah, we're going to do this one here. And we'll actually lose stress, which we only have 5 currently, due to being brave. And it looks like we are delayed regardless, but that has happened delayed thing. I sometimes feel like that's not actually, because it's always like 30 days. And yet you can still make it there in time, even though you didn't have enough time to push it back by 30 days. So I'm not entirely sure that has happened is working right, or working the way you'd expect it to, at least. But yeah, we'll go with this option. We'll see if we win. Not a good chance, but we did. We won the fight. So we gained some prestige, and this disloyal knight is now one of our own knights. So we finally made it to the feast, and not only that, it seems like we arrived early. So the servants run across the hall bringing the final decorations. Some of the guests are yet to arrive, and I indulge myself with a delicious drink by the fire. I can't wait for that bastard to make a fool of himself. Alright, so we'll have a lovely time, get some prestige here. And so what we need to do is set up what our intent for this activity is going to be. So recreation, primarily looking for stress relieving opportunities. We do not have stress, so we don't really need to do that one. Honestly, we didn't need to do this event at all. And it was a terrible time to go, as we've seen, and just overall it's been a negative. But I wanted to show the activity system off here in the first episode, and I didn't know if anything else would come up. So yeah, we don't really need to do the recreation. And this was also really far to travel. Far too far for our current situation. But yeah, we could do some mischief. I don't really think that makes sense for our character. Probably just attempt to befriend somebody. Yeah, seduce I don't think makes sense either. So yeah, we'll probably just attempt to befriend somebody, unless our brother's here, which we can take a look. Probably not. I assume he didn't come to this event. Now, I do wish there was a easier way for sorting through these characters, like when you're looking for somebody to befriend or somebody to kill in this case. So I guess we'll just attempt to befriend somebody. I thought this was the Duke throwing it. Yeah, I think we'll try and befriend him, the Duke of Champagne. He's an older man, so this relationship won't last long, but yeah, maybe we'll attempt to befriend him. Actually, it looks like Guilhem VIII is here, of Aquitaine, which we're attempting to improve relations with him already. So it makes sense to try and to befriend him. So I was going to confirm that. So that's our intent for this activity, is to try and befriend our neighbor. Can negotiate alliances. We need to take a look at that, because we got some good alliances we could do. Every guest is now gathered, so the feast is going to start. So we'll have a bunch of events that are going to pop up with this. So the alliances. We want to ally with our brother, Jourdain, here, so that he can't act against us. We do not want to ally with Raymond, though. because we are fine with him acting against us. We'd like to take his titles. Another option would be the Duke of Barcelona, so we could ally with him. And maybe we will. I don't really want to get pulled into his conflicts, but we do need a good ally, a good strong ally. So that might be a good choice. There's also an uncle who has a decent sized army compared to ours anyways. So yeah, let's ally with him. However, I think our brother, the devil, his army doesn't really justify us allying with him. We don't want to be pulled into all his conflicts and stuff. Alright, so the dilemma. The feast is dwindling down, and I find myself deep in conversation with my rigid acquaintance, Count. I have no idea how to pronounce that. He inquires about my opinion on the blessings of family, a subject he is deeply interested in himself. So we can say it's a subject that fascinates us as well. So he's the Duke's Chancellor. He holds a county. And we'd be closer to forming a relationship with him, a friendship with him. Or we could say I could not care less and get some prestige. And I think our character cares about family, so we'll go with that option. And we made a friend. Okay. I don't know how useful that friend will be, but sure. It's not the person we wanted to be friend either. And we got these alliances. And seems one of our commanders was improved. Trying to get the knights improved. So mutual spirits. What started as an ordinary feast became an exceptional one thanks to the presence of Duke Guilhem. We spoke all evening about all manner of subjects, and as things would have it, we seemed to have a lot in common. I had such a good time with them. We say what a good evening, increasing opinion with him. So that's exactly what our goal is. So see if we can't get a friendship with him, which make him far more likely to accept that marriage proposal. So you'll get different activities here. I think it picks the important ones up here. But you can also look at all the activity log through here. So I listen intently to Duke Guilhem as he carelessly reveals all manner of things. Distracted by trying to get one last drop from his tankard, he is oblivious to how carefully I am paying attention. Once he realizes, he starts getting up. I'm only rambling. It's not true anyways, any of it. So we learn of his lover's secret. So we could use that to get a hook on him and then force him to accept the marriage. If the marriage is still even available. Let's just check here. Yeah, it's still available. So we could do it that way if we can't get the friendship with him. Obviously the friendship would be the preferable way. So the pleading gaze I receive from my acquaintance Maurice is taking on a desperate tone. A group of guests are approaching the corner he has hidden all evening, and the walls are hindering his escape. To think a baron would act in such a way. So we can say, I will distract the convergent guest. Or come now, Maurice, tell us a story. I mean, we're not a cruel person. So yeah, we'll just distract the converging guest. We'll get a weak hook on him as well. Might be useful in the future at some point. Probably not. But... Alright, so here's the attempt to get the murder. So the map event, which you so frequently see. So because we're diligent, we're not going to want to abandon this idea. We're going to want to at least attempt it. I'm tempted to just pay the hunter, but it's a 52% chance that the secrecy will be reduced even further. That's not incredibly important because it's already been revealed, but if we don't want everybody to know that we're the one that killed him, become a criminal, then secrecy does still play a role. I'm curious if he's had any sons yet or any children. He has not. His wife's still not pregnant. I guess we haven't gotten that far, all these events that we've been going through. Or we could just try and explore it ourselves. 60% chance of success, 30% chance you gain some stress. We'll probably lose that stress in this feast anyways. Let's just go with this one. Explore the plains yourself. Of course, that doesn't make any sense. And we got lost. We got the worst one. So I think that means, yeah, that we're ill. Nice. So yeah, 13% chance. And we got this one. It's a let's play, guys. It's official. We've gotten nothing but the worst events and worst options so far. Nothing has gone right in the campaign yet. Hopefully things will pick up. So it's been a decent speech, if not long-winded, but that's usually how these things go. The assembled guests clap and whoop politely when it finishes, some more enthusiastically than others. So we can say here, and then he'll gain 150 prestige and a modifier. We'll get opinion with him. Where he said, I've never much liked Valorant, to be honest. Doesn't look like it matters what we say here. So we'll just say here. That's the final toast. It looks like the event isn't quite over yet. Got this one last event. Time to go. Daylight pours through the windows, and in just one moment, the whole hall becomes illuminated. Most of the seats are now empty. Some servants hand me weapons and take their leave with a cheery bow. What a pleasure it is to have you with us, Duke Thibault smiles at me. What a feast. Before coming, my clothes were slack and ill-fitting. Now I stagger out of his halls twice as full of food and merriment as when I arrived. This was a feast I will struggle to forget. So we failed our intent. We did not befriend him. But we did make progress towards getting the eager reveler trait, and we lost some of that stress that we gained. So the feast is finished, but overall, the entire event was largely a failure. And now we got to do the traveling again, and all the events that we'll see pop up here. So basically, we're lost and we don't know the language. So just another one that you see very often. And so we had a 58% chance we'll be successful, get some prestige. And we got lost, of course. This is very much paradox logic with our RNG right now. Just getting terrible events and options and stuff. So there was something I wanted to do in here. Yeah, I don't remember what it was. And we looked at the alliances. So another travel event, Wolf Struggle. Our journey is violently interrupted by the sound of tearing flesh and gnashing jaws, and the desperate cries of a man about to meet his end. The noise is so horrific, it must have come from the depths of hell. Attempting to track the source, you find a desperate knight struggling with a wild wolf. His blade is wedged between the beast's jaws, but his grip is beginning to falter. So we can say, help him out, Ansel. It's a 48% chance he'll be successful, but because we're brave, we'd probably want to help him ourselves. 47% chance that we would be successful. 53% chance we become wounded, which I think we're already wounded. Oh, we're ill. We're going to die, and we're going to end up playing as our brother. So yeah, we could go with that option, or I won't risk my life for it. As a brave character, we've got to go assist him. And we beat the wolf. Okay, so we gained prestige and also recruited to our court. So I didn't see who he was, or if he's any good. The trodden path. The procession has ground to a halt a stone's throw away from Geligny. I look over to see my kinsman Bosun dismounted and intently staring at something on the ground. The other entourage members have gathered around him. Bosun looks up as I approach. My lord, there is an ant path here. I may be a tad superstitious, but you should never cross an ant path. He pauses. My great-grandfather did, and he never returned home. So we can say, fine, we'll find another path. We'll increase opinion, but spend some prestige, and it'll take us longer to get home. Or this is nonsense. I'll take over as guide, and we'll be more likely to form a rivalry with them. And there's a stewardship and prowess challenge here. 48% chance we're a competent guide. 51% chance we'll get lost, meaning that's probably what will happen. So, I mean, we're brave. I mean, yeah, we'd probably just take over. Now, we are zealous, but that's not necessarily superstitious. So maybe we wouldn't want to pass it, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll do that. We ain't gotta be a jerk. Yeah, we'll go that route. And what's it matter how long it takes us to get back? So it looks like one of our characters has increased their martial by 1. Sticks in the wheel. Ledge, I hear Aldetritus shout out in panic. Soon thereafter, I hear a loud cracking sound, like that of wood breaking, or of my patience finally snapping. I completely know what you mean, Guilhem. My patience with these events. I step out in the mud to see the splintered remains of a wagon wheel. My wagon wheel. I'm sorry, my liege. It was my turn as lookout, and I fell asleep at the reins. Yeah, I feel like she's just an absolutely terrible caravan master or something, and she's average skill, but good God, just nothing good happening here. By God's nails, we're going to be late, or shuffle the supplies around. I'll ride rough from now on. Yeah, I mean, as a diligent character, you probably just do that. We're just trying to get home. I'll go with that one, spend the prestige. Not that it matters, it's literally like 3-day difference. So he wants an alliance, we're going to decline that. And we finally got back. And whenever your regency ends, your regent gets some prestige. So, a year and a half into the episode, that's it. That's all we got in the first video, guys. I wanted to get this journey finished up. Very much regret doing that. It was a waste of time. We didn't really get much from it. I wanted to show the activities, but maybe if we had been going faster, we would have got to another activity opportunity, particularly like maybe a hunt or just something closer. Because, yeah, that was a long journey, and it just didn't go well for us either. So, yeah, very unfortunate first episode here. We did get the lover's secret, so we could use that to try and force in the marriage if he's not willing to accept it now. Because, yeah, he's pretty far away from doing so, and we can't do a grand wedding. We just don't have the money. So, yeah, we could instead just blackmail him. We don't have a high chance of swaying him right now, so it'd probably better to just go ahead and blackmail him for this lover secret. Could potentially piss him off. Let's see what he says. Yeah, we gained the hook on him. So that should allow us to now force the marriage, because that's a plus 100. So yeah, we can use the hook. So I mean, at least we got that out of that feast, that debacle. We now forced this marriage. And we now have an alliance with him as well, though he probably hates us since we did blackmail him. Yeah, he doesn't really much like us. So, I mean, I guess it wasn't a complete waste of time, since that did allow us to force that marriage in, but there would have been other ways for us to do that. So we can keep on swaying him with that, which I think we should. He's supposed to be our ally, and we don't like each other. Not a good chance of success, but we'll keep on attempting that. And we'll also keep on attempting this assassination. But yeah, I just don't think it's going to go well, guys, considering it's already been revealed. And nobody is willing to join us here. Maybe we'll find a secret. There's a chance we'll find a secret, and we can use that to force them into our scheme. But yeah, did not make it very far in this first episode because of all those events. It's just ridiculous. It's been my one complaint so far about the travel mechanic. There's just all these events, and so many of them are pointless. They're just little tiny things, and they just pop up constantly when you're traveling. So once you've already seen the events, you're not reading them, and you already know what options you're going to pick there. But yeah, it's still kind of annoying, the number of events that fire when you travel anywhere. Some of the events are fun, some of them are helpful, but the majority of them do seem to be kind of pointless. So not really into that part of the mechanic. I like the traveling, but yeah, some of the events are kind of silly. And there's just far too many of them. I'm sure Paradox will fix it, probably adjust it so they don't fire so often, but it's pretty ridiculous how many events, as you guys can see here. I know we traveled pretty far, all the way across France. That was a ridiculous number of events. And when they're all negative like that, which there are not very many positive travel events, there's a few, but most of them are negative, it's kind of annoying. and maybe you could argue it makes sense. Traveling is difficult and rough, and in this time period, the roads were not very good. Means of travel were not very good. It was a very unpleasant experience traveling anywhere in this time period. So you could say, it's accurate to have all these negative events, but doesn't exactly make it all that fun for the player overall. But yeah, because of that, we just didn't get very far. But at least we did show the activity system and showed the travel system. But yeah, certainly a rough opening to the campaign. Nothing has gone well so far, particularly with our attempt to assassinate him, because that's kind of important to my plan here, because we need to get more territory. Right now, we just don't have the military strength to do much of anything. We could attack this guy and win with the assistance of our allies. So that's something we're going to want to do. In fact, let's go and work on that before we end the episode. We'll start fabricating the claim over here so that we can do a war. And we don't have much troops, so we'll have to see how this goes. With the assistance of our allies, I think we should be able to win. And that'll get us another county, so we got a little bit more to play around with here. A little bit more manpower and wealth. Because yeah, we're not earning much either currently. But yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy the first episode, even though it was a little bit disastrous. If you did, make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment. If you're looking for anything to watch, and check out the front page of our channel. We got a ton of videos all sorted by genre, so you should be able to find something you'd enjoy. If you're looking for any links, check out the description of any of our videos to find links to our PayPal, Patreon, and Teespring store if you'd like to help support the channel. You also find a link to our Discord if you'd like to join our community. And finally, find links to all of our social media if you'd like to follow us on those. So I do hope to see you guys on episode 2, and thanks for watching.